Family Time on Family Radio.
Good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are. It's another Monday afternoon, and it's a pleasure to be with you another time. My name is O'Neill Campbell, and it's always great to be a part of this amazing program called Family Time. Welcome to everyone, including those on Facebook, YouTube Live, and those on the Love 101 Facebook page or YouTube channel. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, as you know, family time is about your issues, your relationships, your at home family, your community family, and your global family. Family time is produced by Family Life Ministries, and our aim is to enable healthy families, which will lead to healthy nations. Stay with us and please join us on all our platforms. Our topic this evening is social media polite. Social media polite. The official coined word is netiquette. Do you use social media? WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, you name it, right? So many platforms. And all the other ones that I probably can't even name, right? So many of them. And all the apps. Do you use proper netiquette? When and how do you use full caps, emoticons, blue ticks, memes? Listen, for those who this is going over your head, I understand. Trust me. Do you know what's okay and what's not okay to share, to post, to message? What's a person to do to ensure they don't get offended, or they're not offended, or you don't offend, misrepresent, mistake, or behave badly on social media? So many things, so many things. What are the rules that make for pristine social media presence? What are the consequences when we don't use proper etiquette? But before we get into all of that, please, what is your greatest pet peeve with social media? What is your greatest pet peeve with social media? WhatsApp your text and voice notes no longer than 30 seconds to 876-997-3125. Or you can call our studio lines if you'd rather. 876-968-8327 to 8. Remember, the question is, what is your greatest pet peeve with social media? And remember, you can watch us live on Love 101's Facebook and YouTube. We'll be right back with our very special guest, Jennifer Speed. Don't go anywhere.
Easter times are coming and the buns are being baked. So many buns to choose from, but only one to take home. HTV is the one that's got that baked in quality. Full of fruits and raisins, soft and sweet as a bun can be. So when you're buying Easter buns, look out for HTV. That's the one that's got the taste that's guaranteed to please. HTV.
Do you have a heart condition? Your care should be in the hands of our experienced cardiovascular team at Partners Interventional Center of Jamaica. We're one of the leading heart centers for angiogram, stenting, pacemakers, EP studies, and ablation therapy. PICJ has the expertise and latest technology to treat all your heart needs. Call 876-995-7425 or email info@pic-jm.com for appointments. PICJ, your partners for life.
Sit and pass your CXC Cape City and Girls Math and English exams in only 6 to 12 months at Distinction College. Start online and face-to-face classes in May and sit exams in January or May, June of next year. In math, English, chemistry, biology, IT, start international course in practical, geriatric, and pediatric nursing, phlebotomy, plumbing, early childhood education, and more. Register this week and win yourself a course or subjects for free. Visit us in Kingston, Spanish Town, Ocherius, and St. Elizabeth. Call us at 356-4167.
Wow. Welcome back to Family Time on Love 101, and welcome to our very special guest, Jennifer Speed, who describes herself as a British Jamaican. Maybe I'll get into a little bit of that. With a passion for all things graceful, elegant, and sophisticated. Now, just looking at her, all of that is all encapsulated in one. But I won't delve too deep into that. We're here to focus on pet peeves, right? No wonder she is the CEO of the Jamaican School of Etiquette. How are you doing today, Miss Speed?
I'm doing fine, O'Neill. Thank you. Good afternoon and good evening, everyone.
Absolutely lovely. Now, before we go any further, remember, we want to hear from you, our wonderful audience. We need you to tell us what is your greatest pet peeve with social media. WhatsApp your text and voice notes, no longer than 30 seconds, to 9973125. Watch us and comment also live on Love 101 Facebook and YouTube, or you can call the studio lines 968-8327-8. All right. So let's get right into the meat of the matter. What would you say is social media, Ms. Speed?
Well, social media. Technically, it's website application that enables user to create and share contents or to participate in social networking. Simply put, it's an internet-based form of communication. That's what we use it for most of the time. We simply communicate through the internet.
Got it.
And that's what social media is.
All right. So who uses it, when, why, and what's an app versus a platform, and what are the different types?
Right. Okay. Right. Well, what I'll say is that our world has never been more connected than it is today. We think about years ago, we just had Telegram, or we had to write letters, and it would take ages and weeks or days to get to it. And nearly 2/3 of the world's population is plugged into the matrix, that's over 4.4 billion internet users across multiple devices, and we talk about different devices. So we have these devices for work, for play, and social media is also the way that we interact both online and offline. We sort of do things now in real time. We can talk to someone in Africa, and we can sort of talk, as we are now, and it's real time, and we can do that so quickly and so easily. What's an app versus a platform? The best definition of an application, which we call short for app, is we use app short for application, is act of putting something to special use. And people sort of develop apps. So you'll actually find that, like Mark Zuckerberg, he developed the Facebook, that was an app. WhatsApp is an app. And if you go, there's lots of people who's made lots of money actually in IT by developing certain different apps. So our banks has got apps, we've got apps for our bank accounts. So simply put, it's an app is development by using codes. They're coding. People like to learn to code, and they code and develop apps. And most of those apps you can find Apple Store, if you've got an iPhone, or Google Play Store if you've got any of the Apple phones. A platform, on the other hand, is defined as an infrastructure. So it's actually where the apps would sit for multiple applications to be deployed upon, developed upon use. Basically, a platform provides the infrastructure to develop applications, support multiple workflows. Like, for instance, you've got Google. There's not just a Google search, but you have Google Play Store, you've got Google Maps, all the other things that absolutely sits on the platform of Google. So some of the platforms are allowed development to run simply, efficiently, and effectively.
Got you. So with all of that has taken place, all of these apps, and funny enough, you mentioned Telegram, what used to be used. There's an app called Telegram that was rivaling to some extent WhatsApp. When WhatsApp, we're seeing that people have to start paying, and there's a flood of persons jumping onto Telegram. I'm not sure if that has waned, but that's another app that is out there that they say is more secure, but that's something else. So there are, as you said, so many apps, and we've yet to describe half of them. But what makes them so useful? What makes them attractive to persons? You think?
What makes them attractive to people? I think because they're free. That's the first thing.
That's always a good thing.
That is it. It is free. If you're paid for, pay for them. Most of them are free. They're interactive. They're accessible to all. And as long as you've got sort of internet, you can actually get it. They're useful for research, education purposes, school, church, and best of all, it allows us to connect with each other, nationally and internationally. And if you think of how we remain connected during the pandemic,
yes,
right?
Perfect.
Even our grandmother, who would never have thought of going on WhatsApp or use that social media platform, they now know to use it. So, social media has never been so widely used. So many people now felt that the use for them found themselves using, for instance, Zoom. It just exploded. How many of us knew of Zoom before the pandemic?
Very few.
Now you have churches, you have social groups, you have sort of Zoom classes, your exercise classes, you have social media, schools, everything is on Zoom, did that. And I think it will continue. It's now that rather than taking the travel time to go from one place to have a business meeting, you can do that through Zoom. You sit at your desk and you finish the meeting and you just get on with your work rather than being stuck in traffic. So you actually use that.
Well, I'd interject because a comment came in. One of our listeners and our viewer, and the message is this: my pet peeve is messaging about work matters outside of work hours. So even though I may be stationed at home, why you disturbing my peace when I should be off the clock and I would have been out of the office on my way home, lock off my phone, but now you come and bothering my time away from work. So that is a pet peeve outside of the work hours. So I guess that's part of the cons that this brings about.
But that's interesting because there are now laws in France and places that there are now laws that says that you are not allowed to email or do any contact with someone outside office hours.
Well, maybe the person from France, or maybe you could enact a law here that could.
I think it will catch on soon. I think it will catch on.
We will see.
But there are now laws in parts of Europe where you're not allowed to contact people outside office hours. Like the weekend. So once you finish work and expect to do something, and now you can time the emails. You can actually on emails. You can actually type your email and time when it's to be sent.
Right.
So there's no reason really for anyone to contact you outside office hours.
Right. And I think that's critical. But as I'm seeing here, would you describe that as being bad manners then? Do they see that as poor? Because what is right, what is wrong when let's say 15 minutes past the time that you'd clock out and you get a message from work or half an hour after. What is deemed as bad manners for you in that regard? In this particular instance with the pet peeve?
No, it's not rude or bad manners because if you actually look at the whatever the message is, you can actually got an auto response. You can put an auto response on WhatsApp to say, I'm actually at the office. I've actually got, for instance, I've got business which I still do in the UK, and when the person is actually not there because of the time difference,
right? Because
between here and the UK, I get emails say, I'm sorry, I'm not in the office. So you get out of office reply. So you can put those on WhatsApp. There's nothing, you can actually acknowledge it by saying, I'm out of the office. I can deal with that on Monday or tomorrow. Unless it's an emergency, there's no reason for them not to contact you when you're actually off the clock, so to speak. But it depends on the type of work you're doing, doesn't it, really?
Right.
So things like that. And if it's they say you're working on a project and someone wants to say something because they've just got some new information, details, which is going to help you for tomorrow's presentation, then you would accept that. But if it's something that can wait until you get back to the office the next day or, at Monday, then there's no reason why you can't put an auto response and says, I will deal with that when I return to the office.
Well, I can agree with that. I just think that most persons would not be literate, maybe up to the point of being able to put in autoresponders, because as simple as it may seem, many persons may not know how to navigate that. But I completely understand what you're saying with the autoresponder. I think just to put a bow on what the lady was saying, I think that generally most persons don't work in a situation that it would be there'd be an emergency service. So I think there's a general inundation of having so many messages. They kind of want to separate from work. I'm just tired. I want to go home and rest, and here are these messages coming in. So I think that is kind of the disconnect. But what you mentioned in terms of an option to put in an autoresponder, or maybe just simply ignore if possible, You can do that. But
Yeah.
great point there, Miss
Yeah,
B.
but also,
You were gonna say?
what I do, I'll tell you something else that I do, Anil. I actually have my phone actually goes into sleep mode. You can actually program them to go into sleep mode. So I get no text messages, no calls. They all go in silence until the next morning. And I have it. So you can time that as well, not to get them. But then, you have to decide. I do have two phones. So I have a business one, and I've got a UK one and a Jamaican phone. So, but I do actually put it on so that I don't get calls. So again, that's another use you can actually use for it. But it does. I work for myself, so I want to make it much easier for me to be able to do that. But I understand if you do work for someone else, then you probably want to be a bit sort of mindful of it. But by all means, do that. And then as long as you get back to them as soon as possible next morning, the earliest opportunity, get back to them and say, I will deal with this matter at whatever time you're going to deal with it. Good point.
All right. So, again, how important is it and useful for communicating with you spoke about family business. I mean, and you can allude to that in the pandemic, and how critical it is now that communication, especially if the lack of internet, the lack of having the ability to get connected is so paramount in this time. But speak to the importance of having that and being able to connect with family, with business. For example, the glitch, the issue that happened the other day, don't remember the month now, where there was this big shutdown of all the platform was not working. Facebook, I think it was all things connected there, and I can imagine the millions of dollars lost that would happen in that type of transaction. That's one. Have that in mind as well as speak to that a little bit, and what makes it susceptible in terms of back to the politeness on the social media platform or social communication. What makes it susceptible to abuse or misuse, and why do people misuse and abuse?
Yeah. Okay. Excellent questions. I think the importance of use it's useful for communicating with family, friends, and doing business. Yes, they did have a huge problem not so long ago, as you mentioned, where all the platforms, Facebook and all went down. Unfortunately, because we live in cyberspace.
Sorry, except Twitter. Twitter would be like smiling, except us, right?
Yeah, precisely. Because we live in cyberspace, it is something that will happen. It's probably the same as the bank system going down and you can't do a transaction. These things happen, these are computers. And they will happen. They're not humans. They have faults and they will go down. They probably.
When the speed seems to be frozen. I hope I'm not.
Now. Yeah. There we go. I just had that sort of my thing just went a moment.
Well, you exactly what you. There's a real life example. Exactly what you mentioned.
Exactly. My internet flow has been going on and off for the all week, and it's not the first time. So because we depend on them so much, our life, our business, and so on. There's nothing we can do. We simply have to accept it, and hopefully. There's not much we can put in place because after time where our clients and so on are online, they've also gone down. So we're all in the same boat, so to speak. Everyone was actually in the same boat. So we weren't sort of disadvantages and advantages to that. So, that's it. It's important for communication because a lot of businesses, small businesses who had to close their shops and big businesses who had to close their shops, the only way they could do business was online. They had to go online to do, whether they actually did Zoom classes, as I said, they sort of put all their products and services online. I mean, I had to do my EduTech training online, which is not ideal, but that's how it happened. That's the only way I could do my training. So that was actually it. And social gathering, for church services and so on. So it's very important for doing businesses and thing. If it wasn't during the lockdown, I don't think anyone would have been able to survive without social media, whether it's a form of WhatsApp, Zoom, Facebook, whatever. They were a lifeline for us. When it comes to abuse and misuse in social media, unfortunately, they are abusers in everything. We need to be very careful. However, we need to protect ourselves, and particularly children, from predators online. So that's something that we need to do. Social media, it's not really policed. It's free. Anyone can go and sign up and get an account. You know, there's no one authenticates your
Right.
your information. You just have to get an email address and that's it. And it's so easy. Again, because it's free, it's so easy to have.
Any
different-
pictures, you don't have to look like yourself. It can be look like impersonate someone else, have another picture of someone that's not you.
You don't have to put a profile picture at all. You know, if you don't wish to. Someone
Even that,
animals
even
or-
that. Exactly.
Yeah, and it's free, so we can. But you have to think about the reason that's for abuse. So, however, the way to protect yourself is to check your privacy setting. It's so important. So many people don't do that.
A good point.
It comes up with a default setting. And in fact, last week we were having with a friend, they said, I swear they're listening to me because I was talking about something and all of a sudden I get all these ads popping up and telling me about something that I was talking about. They do say that there are times when they're probably sort of listening to you. So, you know, it depends on which website you visit as well. So once you visit a website, it pops up, all these ads keeps popping up,
Right.
talking about, you know, enticing you to buy something or to actually go somewhere. Check your website settings. You know, the website that you visit, be very careful where you visit those, which ones, because again, you know, there can be misuse and abuse. So be careful about that. Be careful who you follow as well. You
Good
know,
point.
a lot of people, I've got so many followers, or I've got so many friends, and people that you don't even know. Why would you accept friendship from someone you don't know?
Because that's how you make friends. We started out as strangers, and then we become friends, like in school. So yeah, I'm just being a defender for the reason.
Well, one has to be very careful. One has to be very careful who you befriend on Facebook, because you never know what you know. Sometimes they may have ulterior motives, so you must be very careful. And again, I would go back to children. You have to be so careful, and you know. So that's it. Your privacy setting, again, just make sure that you go there and make sure that all your private setting is actually in. Contents that you put on, photos and things like that. Be careful of those images that you send and what you like. Because you like something and you think, you know, that's not, you know, oh, that's not too bad, I like that. But because social media is there forever and a day, that could come back to haunt you.
Exactly.
You know, we talk about that could come back to haunt you, because nowadays with social media, if you're doing it, make an application for a job, the first thing what a lot of them do is to check out the social media page. Right,
that never used to be the case, and no, that's like paramount to one of the first things that they do. And we realize that in the space, even though I don't agree with everything that is done against persons, but putting up things that they said were said 20 years ago when they were teenagers and all that, and using that now against them politically and otherwise. So people are digging up dirt to see if they can use it on you. It may be innocently said or otherwise. And as I said, persons that you're likening yourselves to persons who may be nefarious and doing things. And back in the day, they may not have been like that. You still have it as a friend, and they're now doing things that you weren't even aware of. They're in your friend's contact, and so you have that association. So as you said, there's so many things that are happening. Do you think there needs to be more teaching, more training, kind of what you're saying, exposure in terms of speaking to the privacy? Because personally, I think that many persons do not go through these things or settings, or may not know where to go. They just get the phone, know that they can install WhatsApp, but in terms of the settings that they would need to use specifically, for example, the check boxes, the times, various things that you say can be used to help to keep you safe. Many times persons don't even know. Do you think there needs to be more awareness from children right up to help people to practice these things and become second nature?
Yeah, I think they ought to be. I think people ought to be, you know, if you set up an account, for instance, there's a default setting. So when you first set it up, there are default settings, and they would actually say to you, you know, you need to go and change this. And so once you set up an account, say you actually decide to actually get a Facebook account, you need to look at the default. It defaults to certain sort of settings, and you need to go into your settings and change those. And there's an explanation as to what actually happened. Facebook was forced, because of legal matters and litigation, to make sure that their privacy setting is private. It's more private than it was, because everyone could actually see that. And now it's default private, and there's different sets of private. There's different rules within it. Private, only your friends, or private with your friends and their friends, which is always dangerous, because your friends and their friends, you may not know their friends and what their friend is posting. So you have to be very careful about putting your privacy setting on Facebook for your friends and friends of your friends.
All right, so
that could be dangerous.
Sorry to interject. So just as kind of some thoughts came to my mind, and someone is asking, Christopher's asking, please, could you elaborate on privacy settings? And before you answer that, one of the things that I was thinking about, because even though you mentioned the settings that are set by default, you know, many times you have the pop-ups that give displays as the how-to videos, the short videos, or explanation. Most times people skip over that. When it says skip the tutorial, tutorials are skipped, right? I can guarantee that. Just like when you say read the fine print, you know the fine print is not being read. So could you elaborate a little bit more on the privacy settings? And then, as I said, it seems then that there needs to be so much more direct, focused teaching, maybe through you, for example, on whatever platform, that you can actually go through these steps and say, this is what needs to be done, and more awareness. But could you speak to the privacy settings, how critical this is to get done, and whatever else comes to your thought in terms of the privacy in and of itself?
Okay, well, I think the best thing I would say for that is actually if you've got a Facebook account, go straight into Facebook. Same with LinkedIn and all that sort of LinkedIn, which is when we talk about, which is more for professionals.
Right.
I would call LinkedIn the professional of Facebook.
Right.
You need to go into that, and it would check
any settings. Sorry, any settings. Anywhere settings is for your platform is basically the same.
If you go into settings, you go into your account, you go into settings, you will actually scroll down, you see privacy settings, and then you can see the different types, because there's a number of different types of privacy settings. As I said, you can actually set it, which is just you and you alone that sees what you post.
Right.
Then you actually set it so you can actually see with your friends or certain friends, and you can exclude certain friends from that. You want to set other friends except, and you can actually sort of check mark the ones that you don't want to see it. And then you can actually have the private settings that for your friends and their friends, or for everybody. The public one, and there's a public and private, and they will actually tell you. Sometimes when I'm posting things, most of mine are private settings. But if I'm posting something on my business Facebook page and I want it to go, like say I'm promoting a training course and I want it to everyone to see it, I will change that to public. But then it will just put for that posting, and then I will change it back to private. Right. So you can go and change it as you wish. But I would suggest you go into their settings, look at privacy, and then decide which one you want to do, because there's a number of different settings within the privacy settings. There are different settings that you can choose from. Got you.
All right. And so go ahead. Finish your point. Go ahead.
I would say the same. We're talking about a lot. I talked a lot about Facebook, but I also say the same with WhatsApp, because with WhatsApp, while you can actually sort of set, and you need to be careful of the groups that you're in as well.
Right.
Because sometimes you may share something within the group, and then they will share it outside the group. So you're in a group and you think you're saying something which is going to be just within the group, and you find that they will share that outside the group, and therefore that is something that you probably may or may not want to go outside the group. And there's been a lot of cases where they've actually found something that the person has said in the group, and they thought it was private and confidential within the group, and then it's been shared outside. So again, you have to be very careful with that.
Got you. And there's also etiquette for that as well. Things that you share within a group space, group setting for a group, as opposed to individuals. That has to be something that people have to be mindful of as well. So we'll stick a pin right there. Please remember the question we asked: what is your greatest pet peeve? Thank you for those who have contributed so far in social media. Say greatest pet peeve. That's our social media request of you this evening. And we're looking forward to more responses. WhatsApp your text and voice notes, no longer than 30 seconds, please, to 9973125, of course, 876 before that. Watch us and comment live on Facebook, Love 101, and YouTube, or call the studio lines 968-8327, 968-8328 to participate. Also, I'm encouraging you to friend us on Facebook at FLM Family Life Ministries, follow us on Instagram at FLMJA, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Family Life Ministries, FLMJA. The numbers for the FLM head office are 876-920-1034 or 876-926-8101. Time is now just a minute before the hour of 6 p.m. We'll be right back after the short break.
St.
and get ready for the first staging of Lent Praise 2022. Holy Thursday, April 14, showtime, 7:30 p.m. Featuring Jermaine Edwards, Petra Kay, Sister Betty Martin, Unity Singers, O'Shane Mays, and many others. MC yours truly, Abigail Belair. Admission $1,000 at the gate. Children under 12 free at the KAG Jerk Center Car Wash and Sports Lounge, Main Street, Runaway Bay, St. Anne. It's Lent Praise 2022.
This is a special announcement from Love 101 and Love Television to our clients. Our general offices will be closed to the public at 12 noon on Holy Thursday, April 14, 2022 through to Easter Monday, April 18, 2022 and will reopen on Tuesday, April 19 at 8:30 a.m. Programs and commercials for the period Friday, April 15 through to Tuesday, April 19 should be submitted by 9 a.m. on Thursday, April 14, 2022, and obituaries and notices by 10 a.m. on the same day to ensure scheduling for broadcast. Love 101 and Love TV wish for you and yours a holy and peaceful Easter weekend.
For the best in investment options, personal pension, and flexible loans, it's BPM Financial Limited, taking you higher. The time by BPM Financial Limited is
Time is a minute after the hour of 6. So I told you it was going to be a short break. Welcome back, everyone, to Family Time. Of course, we're speaking with Jennifer Speed, CEO of the Jamaican School of Etiquette, and she's sharing with us how to be social media polite. And she's brought some amazing points so far. And we've got some follow-up, some feedback from a wonderful audience, and we're looking forward to some more. So, personally, if I may say so, personal pet peeve of mine would be, well, a couple, but maybe part of it is my fault, right? when I send a message, so maybe this is this blue tick issue, right? You send a message, I mean, people accuse me of it as well, and you believe that person's read the message, and there's no response, right? I'm like, hey, I sent you a message, I need a response, right? You're not getting any response. And also, no, full caps is for me, can be a good thing when you're trying to emphasize something, but when it is on full blast, like you're seeing in all caps, it can be seen, especially when you're not speaking verbally, it can be deemed as shouting. And I'm not one for that as well. So those are a couple of the things that are a personal pet peeve for me. Now, of course, for you, the Speed, the queen of the social media politeness, do you have any pet peeves?
I think quite a lot of them, I should imagine, but I do.
I was going to say that. I said, I wonder if you have quite a few. I said, maybe I need to narrow down to 3.
Yeah, I'm going to share yours with the blue check, and someone's read it, especially if you think it's you consider it to be urgent and something you want to respond to. And it is annoying. But my worst one is not the blue tick, it's people taking it off. Because so you don't know if they've read it or not.
Yes.
You were sitting there thinking, but there is a way to do it. All you need to do is to go into information, and information will say read.
Right.
So you can tell that they've read it. You just don't know when they've read it.
But hold on. Just to go there a bit, right? Is it let's see, I'm trying to think better, because I'm saying sometimes maybe we inadvertently, it happens. Is it that literally they have, okay, let's say the message is lengthy then. So
would your message is lengthy why they hadn't read it?
No, I'm saying, let's say the message is a long one. So they have maybe seen a part of it, but not the fullness, maybe just the top. And so they've not really read it, but it's just there, and they're maybe supposed to get back to it, but it's not read. I mean, I'm probably much in the same boat as you, like this, the tick. I mean, I'm not maybe as down on it, but I can understand. I'm like, man, taking off the tick, I don't know if they've read it or not. You see that they're online or whatever the case may be, and some take off the online, so you don't even know if they are online, right? But I can see where that can be an issue as well. But probably, as I said, maybe I get accused of having a message not being read, or I'm not seeing something, and I'm being blamed, and I didn't really get to read the message. So I don't know. I'll throw it back to you. That's a bit.
I know it can be frustrating, especially if you really want a response, sort of that you can get on, or just want someone to acknowledge you. So it can be embarrassing.
Give me another one.
But I think what as I said, it's a matter of. I'm going to be a bit naughty here and say one of the things that I do deliberately when someone does that is if I would read it and not reply, and then they know that you've read it. And they're sitting waiting for a response, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So I think I've said to Mike's class actually. I think when the ones who take off that, I think the one who actually takes sort of use it so that they don't actually see the blue tick to see that they've read the message. They're the most annoying for me. And I think the worst thing is for them is that they know you've read their message, but you haven't responded. So I think that for me is sort of getting my own back on them. So great message, but I'm not going to respond because I don't know, you actually taking it off. But I think it's a matter of we're so used to everything being on time, in real time. We're used to instant gratification.
Right,
we want a response there and then. And I think that's where we've been spoiled with social media.
Right.
Think about it, years ago we used to type a letter, to send it. The quickest way to do that is send it by telegram. Right, and it was some time before it came back, and then you had the fax machine. And for those who is not old enough, it was sort of something electronically. You send it in the fax machine, and now we actually have instant. Everything is so instant.
Yes.
We want a response now. We want everything now. Everything. Oh well, I sent it to you 2 minutes ago. What do you mean you haven't there?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think we are just spoiled ourselves, and we expect these instant response, and I think we probably just need to put these things into context. But I'm also guilty of it.
Right, and that's what I was saying, because even when I was talking to you, I see where I can be found guilty as much as I'm there, upset may be a strong word, but like saying what's happening, why is this person not responding, confused. Good point here is that sometimes it can come across as people being a bit deceptive, like people have to get the message, and let's say you're seeking a response and they purposely avoid you, not putting you in, talking about because you're on the get back. They're talking about the initial. So that's kind of right there at the balance. But as I said, we can all be found guilty of that at times. Let's see. Question here. It's best to stick to. Is it best to stick to privacy settings on all social media, or how do you navigate that? Is it best to ensure that you're checking all your social media and ensuring that all of those settings are the way you should have it, or need to have it, as opposed to it being set by default?
Well, it depends on which social media platform you use it and what you're using it for. Clearly, if you've got a business, then you want it to go public. You want everyone to know about it, and so on. So you can actually set it then for public, because it depends on your services and the products you're selling. If you want to sell, you can actually do that. It's like when you go into Facebook and you do advertising on Facebook, then you can actually say which social class you want it, or which sort of age you want it, which grade age you want it, and where you want it, whether you want it just in Jamaica, whether you want it just in Kingston or Montego Bay, or the whole of Jamaica or parts of Jamaica. You want to include the America or Canada in it. So you can actually do that with Facebook, especially when it comes to dealing with business and sort of promoting your business, so on. If you're talking about your private, personal one, then yes, that is something that you definitely must look at and make sure that your privacy setting is set to suit you and your, the people that you're friends with, and talk to them as well. Your friends. Yes, I would. If I'm sharing something, for instance, if you want to share something in your friends group and with your children, you do not want that photograph sent outside that group. Right?
Oh boy, the dreaded photo.
Yes. And people do tend to just to actually bring their children up on social media. They post pictures all the time. You have to be very careful about that. Right. Extremely careful on social media about that. So that's, again, is your privacy setting. And then I said with WhatsApp group, it's, you need to be very careful what you say in that group, because you never know whether or not it's going to go outside the group. And that includes what you say, photograph, videos, and all that sort of thing that you post as well.
Got it. Do you have any real life examples or stories that speak to rules or laws that have been violated or broken, and how that was navigated? Do you have anything juicy, anything you can share? Don't want to get into any trouble, you know.
No. I know. No, I see what you mean, but no, I won't say anything that's not already out there in the public domain. It is, as I talked about, sort of what I'll say is, as I said, you really need to be very careful about what you put on social media, what you say and post. I'll give you an example of something that happened only last week, I think, and this is on in the UK. I'm sure you're a football fan, right?
That's right.
Right.
Liverpool.
Yeah, there was actually the European Cup, which happened last summer.
Yes.
And the goals that were the sort of penalty were missed by these footballers. Well, one of the someone in the UK posted a rather derogatory, really nasty racially charged post about Marcus Rashford. Is it
Rashford? And I think Saka and some others that the black players that missed.
Yeah, because it just happened that all the black guys who took the penalty missed the penalty. So he posted something, and I'm trying to find it now because I didn't make a note of it. I'll just ignore them. Sometimes I might do, but I'll ignore them. So they actually did that, and what actually happened was although he put I don't know what he posted because I didn't see the post, but he took it down.
Right.
But he was charged for that. Under the offensive language. There is a law. There is an international law, the internet law about called cyber law, which is something that refers to all the legal issues. So it refers to cyber sort of, anything to do with cyber. So going there and hacking your website, going there, they're doing sort of scamming on the website, going and doing anything, sort of social media posting, all those sort of things. So they're actually there. And this young man was actually charged. He was convicted and he got 6 weeks in prison for it.
Wow.
So, and that's just a posting, one posting that he made wrote a thing about it. So we need to actually sort of be very careful about what we do when it comes to social media.
Right.
And of course we have cybercrime now. People, you have the war that's going on in
Ukraine, right. Right.
And there's also cybercrime, they said, that going on there, which they've sort of taken down sort of websites and so on. So yes, there is a law, and we have to be very careful what we post on social media. We think that they can't trace it back to us. Remember, it's out there. Even if you delete it, someone would have forwarded.
Right. I was just gonna say that. Even if you literally take it up and put it down in 10 seconds, someone has captured it with a screenshot already. They're so quick.
Yes,
yeah.
It is there. Someone would have actually liked it, forwarded it on, something like that. Once you put it on the internet, it's out there. It's never going to be away, and that's there for forever and a day. So we need to be very careful about what is right. So things to do. The guide is sort of the emphasis to protect the rights of freedom of expression. People would say, "Oh well, it's the freedom of speech." No, it's not. No, it's like saying you cannot shout fire in a theater. You just don't do that, right?
Right.
Freedom of speech is protected, but not when it's going to harm somebody else.
Got you. All right, so we have a voice note. Studio, we can go ahead and play that.
Good afternoon. Very interesting topic. And I heard I mentioned something a while ago that you don't like when you see a message in blue and the person don't respond same time. I normally have a problem with that once, but you have to bear in mind that sometimes I can read the message and got a call same time and forgot to respond. I see it happen over and over, and they always respond back to me at a later date. Another thing I don't like when a person take off their blue tick, because sometimes you're not going to know when they read the message, and sometimes they don't even respond back to you, and I think that is disrespectful.
Yeah. I know.
Thank
as
you.
I said,
I understand that. Go ahead, Ms. B. Go ahead.
I said, yeah, that is my biggest pet peeve is not having the blue tick.
He's a man after their own heart. He hit all the right notes to mention the same things that he had and he see with here. But as he said, for me it was the same thing along the same lines. Just the response and a call can come in sometimes for real. Like you are there, you see the message and just slips in mind, you get into something else. So literally sometimes there are legitimate gaffes, legitimate you forget, but at the same time, as I said, the challenge is that if you see it and you don't respond or you bypass it, that is really annoying to me. That persons would do that. It's almost as if it's a form of disrespect. That's how I see it. So that was a great point in terms of what you brought up regarding the case in the UK, and also the situation when you post something, it doesn't just go away like that. Persons always are ready to capture that information and are ready to make hoorah over it.
Yeah, I've also got another example. We saw, I think last year as well, through the pandemic, there was a young lady in the US who was actually took her dog for a walk in the park. And this black guy who was a bird watcher, she phoned the police and said that he had attacked her. You remember that?
I remember that. Hold on. Wait, save part 2. Let me just go to a quick break. I remember that story. Let's pick up after the break. Let's go to a quick break and we will be right back.
Why should you save? You ever hear your grandmother say, one cocoa full basket? Well, it's true. Saving protects you. You should save for an emergency fund, which can come in handy in the event of illness, job loss, or unexpected financial shocks. Saving can help you manage your expenses and reduce financial stress. Saving provides you with financial freedom.
This financial literacy tip was brought to you by Bank of Jamaica, building an inclusive economy.
Sit and pass your CXC Cape City and Girls Math and English exams in only 6 to 12 months at Distinction College. Start online and face-to-face classes in May and sit exams in January or May, June of next year. In math, English, chemistry, biology, IT, start international course in practical, geriatric and pediatric nursing, phlebotomy, plumbing, early childhood education, and more. Register this week and win yourself a course or subjects for free. Visit us in Kingston, Spanish Town, Ocherius, and St. Elizabeth. Call us at 356-4167.
Welcome back to Family Time on Love 101. So we're speaking with the lovely Jennifer Speed, and she was making a point about another case. We're gonna go over that quickly and wrap up. Time goes by so quick. Go ahead and pick back up where you left off.
Okay, thank you. Right, the first one we talked about was a sort of personal one, where this young man sort of made this posting about the footballer, and he was convicted and got 6 weeks imprisonment. The second one we're going to talk about is more to do with your business. And people seem to think that because you're not in the office, you're off the clock and it's a weekend, you're at a party, you're doing something, and you're not in uniform, that you can behave badly and it doesn't affect you. It does. You have to be very careful. And this example is there's a young lady who was actually walking her dog in the park. I think the Central Park. She's walking her dog, and he was disturbing this guy, the black guy who was actually bird watching. She's a white woman, and she then took offense because he told her to put her dog on a leash, and he took offense to that. So she called the police, and he videotaped her calling the police and tell the police, "Oh, there's a black man who's attacking me. Oh, you must come right now." And he wasn't doing anything to her. He simply told her that she should be walking her dog without him being on a leash. So that went viral, and we all heard about it. And what actually happened to her was, once her employer found out about that, she was fired. Now, remember, she was not in work. She was off the clock. She was walking in the park. She didn't do anything. She didn't do anything that would associate her with work. She didn't do anything. But companies are now so particular about their brand.
Exactly. That's it.
And the fact of the matter is that they found out where she worked. They started sending messages to her. They said, "We're not going to talk. We're not going to be working with you. We're not going to buy your products or services."
Exactly.
She's actually brought the brand into disrepute. So she was sacked. And there are many stories like that. So be careful about what you post when you're actually out and thinking that's okay. It doesn't matter because I'm not at work. Once you're identified, then your company can sack you legally, dismiss you.
The only thing I'll say as a slight pushback is that, unfortunately, there are cases that persons are unjustly or unfairly released in situations like that, and also there's this big thing now of cancel culture. Everything is wrong. So those are the only two things that I would push back against what you're saying. But for the most part, those things definitely need to be snuffed out. And for persons who operate like that, think like that, behave like that, in office or outside of office. It's almost like when you're at school, and the idea was, even though I'm off the compound, I'm talking about in the uniform now, even though I'm off the compound, you're still expected to behave in a manner that is representative of the school that you're from. So even though you have the compound, you don't look disheveled and ruffled. You still present yourself properly, and that's what the school would expect of the compound, even though you're not in school. So that's kind of the same thing, but to a higher degree, I think.
Yeah, it is. It's all about branding, because if you're going to actually sort of damage their brand, because internet is it's so vast now. It happens today, and it's all over. It goes viral. And we now have the power to say we're not going to buy the services or the products because we don't agree with the employer. So they do it. Companies do it to protect their brand, to protect their service, and to protect their businesses.
All right. So where the rules and laws are concerned, are the particular rules that we can cover for the personal or business use, and why netiquette in the first place? What's the point of all this?
Well, quite frankly, it's something that we do every day, and people sort of look at etiquette and probably think it's something that sort of posh people do, or it doesn't affect.
Right.
but we go back to actually going to netiquette. It's really an abbreviation of internet and etiquette. That's why it's called netiquette. So it's an etiquette that we do perform it every day. What we do. Whether the people think the first thing that pops to mind when I talk about etiquette is dining etiquette, but that's just a small part of it. Conversation is about etiquette, conversation. Social media we were talking about at the moment, sort of everything. I mean, airplanes got its own etiquette, trains, everything that you do has a sense of etiquette around it, and it's international and it varies from country to country. I mean, and dress codes and things like that. So golden rules. So there's do and do not online. You should, what you should do and what you shouldn't say online. We talked about before posting a comment on a publication, a status update. Ask yourself if you feel comfortable doing that. If you're face to face with a person, if you're sitting there with someone, will you be comfortable to say this something or to say to do something? So you need to be very careful about that. I think we have this invisible. This wall between us when it comes to social media. We're sitting at our desk, or we're actually sitting in front of the TV or bed, and we sort of say things that we would never in a million years say to someone.
Come on, that's right.
So we need to be very careful.
So it's almost like this. I can give an example. It's almost like this. So, for example, I support Liverpool, right? But let's say I have a social media platform or whatever, and someone types in and says, "Someone, you're stupid, you're this, you're that, you're whatever," and they get at me on the post or in the messaging, because people can be very vociferous and harsh and terrible when it comes to typing. But if they meet you face to face, they're not gonna say a word. So they're keyboard warriors and strong and behind the keyboard. But when it comes to face, it's different. So people have found strength even in this wrong way behind the keyboard, and they're saying some harsh, terrible things, but they can only do it behind the keyboard and in the comfort of their own home.
Yes. So true. And you actually sort of confront them with it when you see them. It's
right.
Sort of, oh, I didn't mean that.
Exactly. It's just banter. It's just banter. I was just ruining you. It wasn't real. Yeah, right. Yeah, because you see the person 6 foot plus, 200 plus pounds. You're not gonna say you're like a mouse, right? But what are some of the right things to do? So many things have gone wrong. Or have been done in the wrong way. What are a few of the right things, I think? The top 3 things that, if I can narrow it down to that, a couple of things then that would really be the right things to do. As you said, you mentioned one, you maybe reread what you're typing before you press send, the characters, and also maybe sometimes words can be misconstrued. So you're saying one thing, you mean something else. That can throw off the entire statement that you're making. What are some of the other things like that you think people should be aware of?
Okay. Well, I tell you what I do personally. If I get something which is upsetting, especially with emails, get something you think, oh my God, I will type a response and I will leave that for 10 minutes. And then I'll go back and read it again. And then you find that you're much calmer, and therefore you're not as harsh when you actually want to respond to it. So I think the same thing is I think the golden rule is count to 10.
Right.
Count to 10. Count to
Just
10.
ensure that your mouse is not hovering over the send button. So just in case you
Yes.
press it by accident or you
Right, yeah, because
or
you
the
get
touchpad.
no, count to 10 and think about it and go back to it. So if you something you type and you think I'm really upset about this, really sort of in a temper, close it, walk away from your laptop, your tablet, whatever, and go back to it. But the golden rule is before you send anything, read it and read it again.
All right.
Okay.
Stick a pin. I have a wonderful one here. I was thinking about it, but Sharon sent in a message, and I think this covers a lot for many persons, even though in the space they can be biblical and they can be scriptural and so forth. This is one that persons have a pet peeve with. When people send daily or regular messages to me on WhatsApp without getting permission. So I guess that might be broadcasts, I'm assuming. Sometimes many posts for the day, including memes upon memes, every day the same people. So I guess it's just a constant regurgitation, even sometimes in groups where they say, please don't send your personal because this group is for the school, this group is for whatever. And sometimes it starts off okay in the first couple weeks, and as soon as one person puts a daily verse, good morning, then it's like it opened up a floodgate now for everyone to start sending a daily quote. And I think that is a pet peeve of hers, and I think for many others as well.
Yes, it can be annoying. It can be annoying. Although I must say I sort of do them myself, but it can be annoying. But it's a matter of sort of saying, it depends on what it is. It depends on what it is. People sort of, I get, and the length of it as well. I'm in a sort of number of groups, and there's one particular group where you have, it's like reading, sort of War and Peace by the time they finish writing the day. And I just got to the stage I stopped reading them.
Yes, I understand.
Therefore, I stopped reading them, so I therefore stopped responding, because at first I used to, and it takes so much time and effort to do that. And the one that says sort of, gets to the bottom, it says read more, and you press the read more. There's another read more, and I'm thinking, gosh, I don't have time for this.
Right.
So it can be very annoying. It can be very annoying, and but you can quite easily say, I don't think the person sending them would get offended, or should not get offended, if you say, please, I don't include me. You should be offended in that. You should just politely say, please don't include me.
All right. So as we come to a close, and it's the time right now is so quick, and you've been responding so beautifully, eloquently. A couple of things that you want to leave as tips. There are consequences for breaking the laws and rules. So who or where do we go for guidance, to learn, and for support, as I mentioned at the top, and just a couple of tips that you can leave with persons going forward.
Yeah, I think it depends on what it is. I mean, you need to if you go on Facebook, you need to just make sure, read that they have lots of information on there now about sort of privacy setting and what to do and so on. And whether you want to do it for your personal use or for business, or to share a page or something like that, Facebook page, so that's it. But I think the only thing I can actually say is, to actually do it, I don't think that there is any particular organization out there, apart from their own, who would actually do it. Zoom has their own classes, so you can go and Zoom and they actually do like that. And I'm going to say yes, Jennifer Speed. I'm looking at the time. So yes, the Jamaican School of Etiquette. I want to give them the opportunity, because they won't go to Jamaican School of Etiquette. We've got a number of training courses that we go on the website. You can actually look at.
If they can't find a big organization, you can find
it. You can't find it. Everything that I've talked about here, we'd actually do it. We do children's. One of the most popular thing is sort of children's etiquette.
That's a big thing. That's necessary. So much grooming and so many different things that they're doing against children. Yeah, it's a big thing, a big deal.
It's a big thing. So it's good in social media, but also social. Even today, I think yesterday, the Prime Minister of Jamaica was saying that soft skills is something that is required, which hopefully they will actually get in school. Because if you go for an interview and so on, a lot of the interviews now, companies would actually put you in a social situation. It's not about you sitting over a table.
Yes.
Like you have in a boardroom and sort of question it. It's about your social skills, So they're actually talking about your social and soft skills. And there's just quickly saying that there's a lot of the people will take you out to dinner to see how you react.
Right.
In a situation where you can do that. So we do lots of Jamaican School of Etiquette. We do lots of courses. You look at our website, and we do lots of courses that will actually cover a lot of these events and training.
Beautiful. With that said, thank you so much. Just Jennifer Speed, I really appreciate you. Thanks everyone for being here with us. If you have any questions of a personal nature or are concerned about a friend or a family member, call us at Family Life Ministries. For our center in Portmore, it's 117 Cecile Avenue. Call 876-939-7917 for more information on our services. Our counselors in Kingston, other parts of the island, contact the head office 920-1034, 926-8101. Note that appointments can only be made by calling the offices. Otherwise, to keep up to date with all that's happening, check FLM on Facebook, FLM Family Life Ministries, Instagram, FLMJA, and FLM and Family Life Ministries, FLMJA. That's on YouTube. Before we leave, our scripture for today is Psalm 31, verse 24. Be strong and let your heart take courage, all you who wait for the Lord. Join us again next week at 5:30 p.m. on Love 101's Facebook or Love 101, the radio station of Facebook, YouTube Live, or the 101 Facebook page, and also the YouTube channel for any other information that you need. Thanks again to our very special guest, Jennifer Speed. Thanks to our show producer, Kathy Gale, Open Door Communications, studio facilitator, Timoy Butler, and me, of course, O'Neill Campbell. Join me next week or someone next week, same time, same place. Take care until then. Bye-bye.